go.
Dan Grider, it's November 12th, 2023, Sunday night. Glad to have you with us on yet another Sunday night evening broadcast. Probable cause. Glad to have you here with us. Lots of times there's 1,000, 1,500 people in the live chat room with us, so glad to have you. If you're in here with the live chat, make sure you say hi and where you're checking in from. Always good to see that. Also include any kind of comments, questions, or room for improvement. Lord knows we have plenty of room for improvement here at the DTSB. So glad to have you with us. Got a lot to cover here. I'm going to show you this on the screen real quick before I get very far to explain what's going to happen here yet tonight. Here's the November data for the month of November 2023. Guess what's on this? Check this out. There it is. So far in the month of November, we don't have a single fatal that I know of in the United States. General aviation is blank for the first 12 days, which is really good. Hallelujah. Gives me a little bit more leeway to play around with some other things and include some other content and catch up on a few things here. So I don't have any accidents to report. And the thought hit me, boy, what happens if we reduce all the general aviation fatal accidents all the way down to zero? I'm going to have like nothing to talk about. The only way to get me to shut up is to quit crashing our airplanes. Isn't that a unique problem to have? Well, I'm not saying that it's me that's causing us to quit having general aviation fatal accidents, but I think that all of us together, sum total with the power of the internet and social media and Facebook and Instagram and all the other people talking about general aviation fatal accidents, I think we are having a profound effect on increasing awareness. At the very end of this video, I've got a PowerPoint which has been totally smoothed out and improved. It's not in final form, but I'm going to debut it here at the end of this. I want you to give me your comments on this at the very end of this video. I'll zoom through the PowerPoint concerning general aviation and AQP for general aviation. This is going to be a PowerPoint that you can use. I'll de-identify any DTSB or my name associated with it so that you can take the exact same PowerPoint and play it at your club, your organization. You can actually do the same PowerPoint for yourself or for your friends or for your club, a generic one-size-fits-all PowerPoint that might be a good presentation. So that's the kind of the concept here. I'll show you here tonight. It's in the early form. It's got a lot of bending and massaging left to go on it, but this is the first part of it that's coming up here yet. So anyway, welcome. It is November 12th, yesterday, Veterans Day. Thanks to all our vets out there, and we took a moment to celebrate in a few special ways here. I got a friend, John Fish, who took a guy out to dinner for Veterans Day, and it was his idea to take this guy to dinner. The guy he took to dinner, here's a picture of him. His name's Stephen, 76 years old, still flying corporate jets. Stephen is extremely qualified, 76 years old. He served 2 tours in Vietnam as an F-4 pilot. He's flown everything for every airline. His list of credentials are extensive, 26,000 hours. Guess what? John went to take him to dinner for Veterans Day, and after dinner, they went to pay the bill. The restaurant said, no, there is no bill here. Your complete meal is comped by the restaurant. Here's a picture of the restaurant and the restaurant that did this for John and Stephen. I wanted to give a special shout out to this restaurant up in Indiana. That's not cheap, I think. And normally when John goes to dinner, he is cheap. But I think this dinner would have been probably over $100 easily, and the whole thing was free. And I think that's the kind of excellent things we need to be doing for our veterans. Playing it forward, paying it forward, helping out where we can, doing something nice, some random act of kindness for somebody else, especially our veterans. That's the intro for this thing. This is going to be a fairly short one. I'm going to try to keep it under 40 minutes, and I appreciate you hanging with us. Let's get into it for tonight. You know, here's a couple of pictures. This guy, Skylar Rubel, sent me a picture. I apparently gave him an airplane ride about 5 years ago. Today, he just passed his instrument rating check ride. Congratulations, Skylar Rubel out in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Never goes to hurt you to give an airplane ride to a kid wherever you can. You never know. What a surprise to get a picture from this kid 5 or 6 years later, whenever it was that I gave him that airplane ride. And I'll tell you this, my motto is an airplane ride, you will never remember giving an airplane ride. The recipient will never forget it. There's the difference. I can guarantee you that Skylar will never forget the airplane ride that I gave him. To me, it was an insignificant ride in a Cessna 150 that there's no way I can remember the details of it. But that's the important thing here. Dylan and Drew were in town here, both for the weekend here. Here's the picture. I just dropped off Drew at the airport. We went out and had breakfast this morning. And you know, it's not our week to go ahead and feed Dylan. So here's the very end of that breakfast that we had together this morning. Dylan, there's a little bit of gravy left in here. You want to lick it? Come on. Then we drove to the airport. I dropped off Drew at the airport. He had to go fly out to someplace, and he's gone. But that's the three of us, and we do a lot of traveling and stuff like that via the airlines. So let's talk about schedule real quick. You know, last week on Wednesday, Captain Laura Savino did a fantastic live chat on the 99's website. It was a live forum, but that video that she did on Tenerife, coming up on the 50th anniversary of the accident at Tenerife where two 747s collided. That video and her talk on the inside information on what happened at Tenerife is still on the 99's site. I'll include the link to that YouTube video so you can watch it on the 99's. Then the next night, Thursday night, me, Dylan, and Toby were up at Bowling Green, Kentucky. We did a talk at the EAA chapter up there. An AQP deal. I go out and do these on the road at least once a month, sometimes twice a month. I don't charge any money. We just travel, go do the deal. We play a little bit of music, talk about AQP, and it's all well and good. So that was last week. I want to talk about coming up this Thursday night. Coming up, I think it's November 16th. Thursday night, I'll be in D.C. at Leesburg, Virginia. Friends of Leesburg. It's a special aviation dinner up there. The only reason I'm going is because they said free food and they gave me a free ticket to it. So I think I'll be up there for the evening. If you happen to be in Leesburg, I think somehow you can still buy a ticket to that, but I'm not sure. Don't hold me to that. But I'll be in Leesburg, Virginia for that Thursday. Then coming up, I'll be in Arkansas with my folks for Thanksgiving and spend a couple days out there. And then immediately after that, I'll be in Portland with Dylan. The 52nd anniversary of D.B. Cooper. The D.B. Cooper hijacking was November 24 of 71, so 52 years ago is the anniversary. Remember, for the 50th anniversary, I did those two D.B. Cooper videos. If you want to watch the D.B. Cooper video part 1, Deep Family Secrets, you can watch me fall out of an airplane backwards holding a simulated bag of money. I fell out from 10,000 feet to show that it couldn't be done. In the airplane on that day, I carried a bunch of these hats right here, and I've only got a few of them left. These are anniversary hats. When they're gone, but they're serialized. So this is serial number 1. This hat was carried on board that airplane that night on the 50th anniversary of D.B. Cooper, 11/24 of 2021. The remaining hats that were on board that airplane, I'm going to have available in Portland, November 24, 25 at Victor 23. I'll be there both evenings, Friday night and Saturday night, 6 p.m. till close. I'll be there. There's no formal program, no sound system, no music, no nothing. I'll probably bring a guitar, but that's about it. If you want a hat, they're there until they run out, and I'll be glad to see you. We can talk about AQP or D.B. Cooper. That's going to be November, the very end of November. And then just a general reminder for the fall of 2024, this is going to be the first annual DTSB convention, AQP convention at Hampton, Georgia, KHMP, September 27, 28, 29, the very last weekend in September. We got the details, working on all that right now, but put that on your calendars now for September of 2024. This will be a fly-in. It's a public airport, long runway with an FBO, and it's got all the amenities, everything that you're going to want there at Hampton. The first AQP convention, we're going to have seminars and meet and greet and a whole bunch of fun stuff going on in September. I'm working really hard on that September convention for AQP in Hampton, Georgia. You know, Dylan's been out flying his little Cherokee around. He's a student pilot flying around with a stack of sectionals, an E6B, and a pencil. He can go anywhere he wants. I endorse each leg for his cross-country for each leg each time via a briefing and electronic endorsement of his trip where he wants to go. I check it out. So he's been flying around. A couple of interesting things here. I didn't know it, but you can actually listen in. And I want to show you here a couple things. Both ADSB Exchange and FlightAware show you And so my concern out there is mid-airs. I've got Dylan totally trained up on traffic pattern procedures, making sure he initiates conversation, make sure he talks to the other airplanes in the traffic pattern. So I grabbed this screen grab of him going into Zephyr Hills here the other day. Let's listen to this. I'm going to show you both ADS-B exchange and live flight aware in conjunction with the live ATC feed that I put, and I put them all three together for this very short clip. Listen to how Dylan works it out with the other airplane going into, this is going into Z Hills, Florida, just the other day.
Zephyr traffic, Regal, turning tight left crosswind, runway 5, Zephyr.
Zephyr Hills traffic, Cessna 16079, turning left base for runway 5, touch and go. How far does that crosswind traffic for Zephyr Hills?
We're very tight, and we're turning a tight left down. When we got you in sight, just keep coming in, we'll stay clear.
Okay, you stay behind me or ahead of me?
Looks like we're going to be ahead of you if you're the traffic to the east. We're downwind now, coming up on a midfield.
Okay, you the glider?
Yeah, the Delta wing.
Okay, gotcha, I'm behind you.
You know, speaking of Dylan, I have borrowed his airplane a few times. I just completed video number 5 in the AQP ride-along series, and they're on my YouTube channel now under playlists. I have organized playlists. I've broken it all down into categories here: music, AQP, documentaries, and a few things like that. I'm still working on organizing playlists for you, but I've got 5 videos under AQP ride-along. This one that we just produced last night, I'm very proud of it. If you have a chance to go back and listen to that, watch it. It's a very short video, but I put Dylan in the Cherokee to go take a check ride with another individual. That's Toby Rice, the fiddle player, also an experienced CFI. Both of these kids, yes, they're kids. They're 24 years old. One giving a check ride, one receiving a check ride. How did they do? Now, my point is, if they're only 24 and they got this down to a science to this level, you can too. These guys together are not rocket scientists, and combined between the two of these, they've only got 2 brain cells and 1 sputters. They're not that bright, but boy, when they're in this airplane together, they had this together. And Toby is not an examiner. He's just acting as a CFI. He gave Dylan a simulated check ride, and we videotaped and recorded the whole thing so you can see it. Now, the main emphasis here that we included on this particular video is the concept of ROTOT. ROTOT is just like LOTOT, but I'm going to be introducing this ROTOT. This is reduction of thrust on takeoff. It's a brand new AQP maneuver that I'm including. A reduction of thrust on takeoff is actually more deadly than a loss. Remember, a loss of thrust on takeoff, the decision has been made for you. You're going to land straight ahead. You probably don't have much room. If you try to turn around, you're going to be dead, but there's no option to turn around. Reduction of thrust on takeoff, you've actually got some engine power. Your engine did not quit. It just rolled back on you. It lulls you into thinking that, yes, you can make it back to the airport because your engine is still running. It's just not producing good thrust. So watch this video. It includes both a LOTOT and a ROTOT. This is on the AQP ride-along series. They're on my YouTube channel now under the playlist heading of AQP ride-along videos.
We got a reduction in power. There it is, push. Carby. We're looking for a place to land. I don't have my power back, but I've got a little bit of speed. Looking for any place to land here. Got a little field to the right. We're able to maintain altitude. Alright, fuel pump on. Change mags. Nothing's working, we're gonna land it here. Nothing's working, we're gonna land it here.
You know, I've already mentioned some of the internet-based social media sites that I like to use, including ADS-B Exchange, FlightAware, Facebook, Aviation Safety Institute. One of my favorite ones, I want to give a quick shout out to, actually 2 of them, Vass Aviation. I'm going to feature one of his videos here next. And then Aviation Accidents This Day in History is a Facebook page run by a friend of mine in a different country. He's kind of anonymous, but he's a great kid. He's going to college, doing a great job. If you have a chance to follow, subscribe, and check into Aviation Accidents, This Day in History, he does a great job. The other kid in Spain is Victor over at VAS Aviation. I'm going to show you this video next, and I can tell you that my secret premonition is that Captain Laura Savino, who has a YouTube channel, she's going to do an extensive video on this. I watched this video when VAS produced it here. This has to do with an airliner coming in. This is a Lufthansa airplane, international flight coming into San Francisco. And I want you to go back and look at it on VAS, but I'm going to give you a couple of excerpts here. In my opinion, this whole thing is just crazy. You talk about a controller that needs to be reprimanded. Let's listen to a couple of sections of this. This whole thing does not make any sense to me.
Lufthansa 458 Heavy, our company procedures forbid visual approaches at night, no request and standard ILS.
Okay, Lufthansa 458 Heavy, if that's the case, then there will be an extended delay. Just remain on the arrival.
So look for a detailed breakdown of the analysis on this thing. No accident occurred. Nobody got hurt. But this is a controller who, in my opinion, was way outside of his lane in what he did to this Lufthansa for no particular reason. This guy only wanted an estimate. He was never given an EFC. He just was delayed and delayed and delayed. And the controller asked him if he can maintain visual separation from another airplane. Well, what does that mean?
The 458 Heavy, just for my planning purposes and the final controller's planning purposes, can you maintain visual separation with the aircraft at night?
If you want to point out an airplane and say, do you have it and can you maintain visual, that's a different deal. The international flights are not allowed to accept visual approaches, and there's no reason that San Francisco couldn't leave their ILS on and just clear them for the ILS. Spacing is the same. You can do everything that you want to do on this thing. So there's something in the mix here I'm not understanding. This controller, this pair of controllers, the radar controller and the final controller is SFO. I would like to know the first name of the individual who did this out here. I would truly like to know who did this. And I want you to go back and watch this on VAS Aviation and give me your comments after you see it. Let me know what you think. But this is a horrendous ATC handling. Very poor customer service, very poor. This, to me, it very much compromised safety. I'm going to wait for the Laura Savino YouTube video to come out here, hopefully in the next week or so on this thing, and let's get her take on it. She's a 121 captain and all that stuff, so I'm really curious to see how that comes out.
Lufthansa 458 Heavy, say again.
Lufthansa 458 Heavy, we are running slowly but surely out of fuel, so we need a setup for base soon, or your sequence will be,
Okay, Lufthansa 458 Heavy, what is your divert field?
It would be Oakland.
Okay, Lufthansa 458 Heavy, you need vectors to Oakland?
No, but I just don't understand why everybody else is taken. My company forbids visual separation at night, so what is the problem here?
Lufthansa 458 Heavy, I can't have this conversation with you. You either need to divert to Oakland, or you can continue to hold. It's up to you, sir.
Okay, you promised me 10 minutes. That ran out 4 minutes ago, so how many more minutes?
Conversation is over. Lufthansa 458 Heavy, stand by. Lufthansa 458 Heavy, what are your intentions? You want to divert, you want to continue to delay?
I recommend Lufthansa 458 Heavy. I need an estimate of track miles so I can do my calculation.
Okay, Lufthansa 458 Heavy, expect another 10 to 15 minutes delay.
You know, I've got a serious heartache problem with AOPA, Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association. I'm going to go into explicit detail on some of that and the relationship between Mark Baker, Dan Milliken, and Charles Cook eventually. For the time being, I want you to know that a lot of these airports around here, you'll find these things. They're trying to sell you AOPA insurance, and I'm going to show you specifically what's on here. This says Smart Pilots Take One, and it says AOPA, Aircraft Agency Incorporated. Well, that used to be. AOPA used to have an aircraft agency with licensed agents. They do not have it anymore. If you think you have AOPA insurance, you do not. When you call this 800 number in this brochure here, guess who answers the phone? It's Assured Partners. Now, to me, in my opinion, that's a conflict of interest. AOPA is making a direct relationship commission on the increased hard market. The worse the fatal accident rate is, the more your premiums go up, the more money AOPA makes. I think AOPA should be in the safety interest basis, and they should be interested in lowering the general aviation fatal accident rate. AOPA is not an insurance agency. The only thing AOPA is doing for you is forwarding your phone call direct to their partner, assured partners. They want you to be assured that they're definitely their partner. That's why they called it assured partners. The other thing I want you to know is that AOPA does not have a lawyer that's going to help you. When you have an AOPA legal plan, that just means you've paid a premium and they're going to pay a portion of your legal expenses for consulting or whatever they have to do. They're collecting your money in case you have a case, in which case they're going to give you a name of an attorney someplace in the United States. AOPA does not have a lawyer that's going to help you as a pilot. When you subscribe to the AOPA legal plan, all you're getting is, in essence, an insurance policy that buys you a little bit of time, a little bit of consulting, or a few hours from an attorney that happens to be on their approved list. That's all it is. Now I'm going to talk about Charles Cook. This whole case, there's a specific relationship between Charles Cook, Dan Milliken, and Mark Baker at AOPA, and I don't like it. I'm going to show you this letter here. I specifically am going to bat for the father and son that died in this airplane in Texas. I would not have dug in this deep, but they did this to me, and I'm going to go ahead and show it to you. I have hired an attorney firm, and I'll show you the letter from the attorney firm right here, and I'm going to show it to you here. I'm going to read it to you. This is from my attorney, and he sent me this letter, and it says, "Dear Mr. Grider, in response to your inquiry, I'm pleased to provide the following information about me, our firm, and the appeal the firm is undertaking on your behalf." This is the Charles Cook case. Clark Hill PLC is a full-service civil law firm established in 1890 with offices in 27 locations in the United States and abroad, including 6 locations in Texas. The firm has about 600 lawyers, 23 of whom engage in appellate practice. I graduated from Harvard Law School, magna cum laude, in 1979 after serving a law clerk, the Honorable Patrick E. Higginbotham. I began to practice appellate law in Texas in 1980. Since that time, I have argued 228 cases on appeal, including 27 cases in the Supreme Court of Texas and 149 cases in Texas Court of Appeals, and have handled approximately 525 appeals in part or in whole or in part. I am a fellow of the American Academy of Appellate Lawyers and am certified in civil appellate law by the Texas Board of Legal Specialization. I am currently a senior counsel at Clark Hill PLC and one of the 3 lawyers with the overall responsibility for the firm's Texas appellate practice. You have retained our firm to pursue an appeal to the Texas Court of Appeals in Fort Worth from a default judgment rendered against you on August 16, 2023 in the approximate amount of $1.1 million. In this appeal, we will attempt to show that the default judgment against you was improperly granted due to procedural errors on the part of Mr. Cook's attorney, and the trial court default's judgment in Texas are heavily scrutinized on appeal, and compliance with the letter of the law is required. We are cautiously optimistic that the default judgment will be reversed on appeal and the case is remanded to the trial court for pretrial discovery and trial. We will also likely challenge the amount of the judgment based on the limited evidence of damage presented at the trial court. Have to remember that this damages trial only lasted about 22 minutes, and how could Charles Cook, for a video that never got any traction from over 2 years ago, how could he have been damaged $1.1 million? And how come this service is proper when you send an email to my spam folder that I never received? How is any of this possible? The whole thing is completely crooked. It only takes one fatal error on their part for the handling, for Charles Cook and his law firm. There only takes one fatal error in the handling of this to get the whole thing thrown out. And so far, they've got 4 or 5 fatal errors. I'm going to show you how this whole thing works. Let me keep on reading here. Unfortunately, the appellate process is expensive, involving legal research, the filing of lengthy written briefs, and the presentation of oral argument before the appellate court. I have estimated that our firm's charges for the appeal through the Court of Appeals level could be as much as $50,000. This does not count out-of-pocket expenses for filing fees and fees for the trial court clerk and court reporter, nor does it count the fees and expenses that will be incurred in the trial court if the appeal is successful. I estimate that the appeal will take 8 to 12 months from filing until the Court of Appeals issues a ruling. Any ruling can be appealed by the losing party to the Supreme Court of Texas, which will add to the duration of the appeal. Proceedings in the trial court, if this case is remanded, will take additional time. I trust that this letter provides you with sufficient general information about our firm, about the appellate process as applied to your case. Very truly yours, Michael Young. And this firm and Michael Young, they have got some talented people. It's not inexpensive. I've got the DTSB. I'm going to show you here. I started this fund. I asked for $10,000. I got 12. That fund, super fund is still going here. If you'd like to contribute towards this, I've already paid $15,000 out of pocket. I've got a long ways to go, but I am fighting for this father and this son who were in this airplane, 225 pounds over gross. A total of 3 people were out there on the runway that day, encouraging them to try it. They should never have been encouraged to try it. This airplane had only flown 2 hours since it had been restored. I'm not convinced that the guy flying the airplane, I'm not sure that the father had ever actually soloed it, but interestingly enough, his logbook never turned up in the entire process. So this is what I'm fighting for. Yes, I have dug in deep on this, and I'm going to continue to dig in deep. I appreciate your support, your help on this thing. My biggest defense here on this thing is that, number one, I don't have $1.1 million, but number two, all they have done is created a whole bunch of stir and nationwide attention to a case. Charles Cook only wanted to sue me to shut me up. It's had the opposite effect. This is not going to shut me up. This is going to cause me to go bigger. I have got massive amounts of nationwide support to appeal this thing, remand it back down to the trial court, take this thing to trial, and then eventually we're going to find out who was out there on that runway that day, and we're going to figure this whole thing out. All right, we're down to the PowerPoint. This is the very end of this thing. I'm going to have this PowerPoint eventually available for free for everyone. Use it in your flight school. I'll have it tweaked. We're just now massaging and putting this together. I'll take your comments, suggestions. It's still got a little ways to go to build this thing and get it totally done, but I hope to have this done in the next couple of weeks, available for free to anybody that wants it. Let's start in on this thing. The DTSB presents Continuing Education. This is AQP for general aviation. Some interesting data for you here. 80% of general aviation fatals happen in day VFR conditions. Now, of these 80%, 85% are pure bad decisions. What does this mean? Well, it means that 68% of all general aviation fatals are daylight, good weather, and bad decision accidents. Isn't that amazing? Let's go on to the next one. Here's some best philosophies. Out of this, I want you to choose one. Out of the four here, just choose one. Night, IMC, high mountain and train, ice. For some pilots, pick none. For me, in a little airplane, of general aviation single, I try to pick none of those. Here's some best philosophies. Know when to say no to yourself. Say no to obligations. Say no to promises. Say no to cost and inconvenience. Or stop your friend or fellow pilot who should not be doing or attempting to do what they are about to do. Let's listen to Mike Patey. He gave an example of a story here where he went and yanked somebody out of an airplane that was about to go fly, and it was unsafe, and he was glad that he did. He saved a life by stopping somebody. This is the case in Texas where the exact mirror image opposite of this. This is three individuals encouraged somebody to go fly an airplane with high density altitude, short runway, grass runway, and 225 pounds over gross. All three of those individuals knew that this is impossible, and yet they encouraged that person to go try that. This bullet point here, I'm going to read it to you again. Stop your friend or fellow pilot who should not be attempting to do what they are about to do. Here's Mike Patey.
He was about ready to take off, and I went over and said, you know what, I'm going to hurt this guy's feelings, but I'm taking that guy out of the back of that plane.
A father and a son are dead, and this debrief was a little frustrating because something like this never should have happened.
My personal aviation culture. Here's a couple things, a couple bullet points here. Have enough fuel. Know and honor density altitude limits. Know and honor weight and balance limits. Bug, brief, and honor DMMS. That's defined minimum maneuvering speed. Bug, brief, and honor VREF. Use it before taxi checklist. Get all your stuff squared away and totally done before you ever move the airplane out of the chocks. Sterile taxi. Don't be distracted while you're taxiing. Fly a stabilized approach. Fly a predictable traffic pattern. Keep your eyes outside. Exchange information with the other aircraft. Phones and iPads out of sight below 2,000. If you remember from that example of Dylan going into Z Hills here the other day, he heard all the other airplanes and he did not understand what was going on, but he worked it out with the other guy. That's what I want you to do. Use the radio in your headsets. Work it out with the other guy. Very last one here. Sterile cockpit below 1,000 AGL. Here's your top killer AQP scenarios. Be suspicious of aircraft fresh out of any maintenance. That's AQP maneuver scenario number 17. Be expecting a rejected takeoff. That's number 16. Be expecting a low tot. Be expecting a rotot. That's number 21. That's the McSpadden maneuver. That's the McSpadden scenario. He got a rotot and wasn't ready for it. Be expecting a low tot. Be expecting unintentional IMC after takeoff. Be expecting power off spot landing. That's your engine that fails over the top of something. You got to hit a field or a runway. You got to land at some planes. This is a combination of scenario 6 and 12. Be expecting a go around. This is your messed up go around. We did the AQP ride along video about that. Be expecting a non-stabilized approach. push and know what to do about it. Be expecting a mid-air collision and know what to do about it. Be expecting a cockpit fire. I've got more to say about cockpit fires in the near future and how to beef yourself up against those. But those are the top killer scenarios that I want you to be ready for. Here's some memory actions, some quick action items for both low tot and row tot, low to the ground. There's nothing you can do. There it is. Push. Pick someplace. Full flaps, wings level. Don't stall it. Don't stall it. Don't stall it. Put it into the tops of the trees. Put it into Farmer Fred's field. Put it into wherever you've got. If you're in a retract, go in, gear up into a field. You'll be totally fine. If you're not in a retract, pick something. Do the very best you can. Aim for the cheapest, softest, most accommodating piece of ground that you can find. Open the door before you touch down if you can. Step out, call me, we'll go have dinner. That's all it is. If you're up high, here's some memory action items for you here. Carb heat on, switch tanks, mixture set, fuel pump on, switch mags, primer locked. Here's a pre-flight review for you. I am rested. Before boarding, consider these facts. Are you rested? Get their itis. Weather briefing. Did you do a weather briefing? Distractions. Are you distracted? Fuel quantity and caps. Do you have enough gas? Are your caps on? Weight and balance. Your runway length. Your taxi plan. Your RTO plan. Your row top plan. Your low top plan. Phone and electronics off. Are you ready for the abnormal? Pre-flight, take a last lap around the airplane. I try to always be the last one aboard. I always take a last lap around the airplane. These are just some things to consider. Does this take some extra time to accomplish? No, it really doesn't. Just some things to consider before you hop in the airplane. This airplane will kill you dead. It will definitely do it. Let's go on to the next one here. Some one-time checks. These are some things that you don't have to do every time, but make sure, especially if you're airplanes that are in a hangar and you're the only guy that's flying them and it's totally secure, you don't have to necessarily check your rigging so carefully all the time, but be careful if your airplane's been set out or if another person's been flying. Check rigging. Your seat lock mechanisms, make sure you're good there. Your ignition switch, I'm going to show you a quick video on the ignition switch here. Here's the problem. This is the has to do with the accident up in Kentucky. A guy and his wife landed. They came back to the airplane the next day. When he had removed the key from the airplane, the ignition was actually on the right mag and he didn't know it. And during this pre-flight, he moved the prop. And when he moved the prop, the engine started and it killed him. Here's the video. Check out this key as it moves back and forth. Look at the positions that key will come out. It'll actually come out on left. It'll come out on right. It'll come out on both. This key and mechanism is worn out. And if your mag is hot, you should do, periodically, you should do a check to make sure that your engine will not fire with the key out. If your engine will fire with the key out, you have a problem and you need to turn it into maintenance. Last one, seat belts and harnesses. I'm a fan of seat belts and harnesses. Put your harness on. I'm trying to do much better. We just now got the seat and harness, brand new belts and harnesses installed, and they are totally comfortable. They work really good. The last one is fire suppression. We're going to talk about some long-term fire suppression things that you can get ready for your airplane. It's not expensive and it's not time-consuming to get ready for fire suppression. I think that's it. I'm going to jump out of here. I appreciate you hanging with us. My battles in the future are huge. I appreciate your support. If you could donate $1 or $2 towards these efforts, especially the ride-along videos and the short videos, all that's good, or even this video here, that's very much appreciated. Here's the methods of doing that. Zelle, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo. If you want to donate towards the DTSB Super Fund, that's up and going. I've got a long ways to go, but we're going to beat it. We're going to appeal that thing, and it's going to come back to a trial. That's the one thing that they do not want to happen. I'm going to show exactly what happened here, and it's going to take a long time and a lot of money, but I appreciate your support, and let's jump in here and get it done. I got to get out of here. We'll get this video up and on the air for my tiny little itty-bitty fledgling YouTube channel. Dan Grider, Problem Cause.
Hello, Mr. Grider.
Yes.
This is Jim Moore calling. I'm the managing editor of digital media at the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association.
Hi, Jim.
Hi. I'm calling you today because I'm working on a story about the civil court hearing in Texas yesterday and the judgment that was entered against you in the record in the matter involving Charles Cook. And wanted to ask if you plan to appeal this, if there's any comment that you have for the record on this case, or anything you choose.
Hello?
Yes, who is this?
This is Dan.
Dan, this is Charles Cook.
How you doing?
Well, I've just watched your video online.
Oh, okay, good.
And need to know what you're doing. What are you trying to do to me?